What if I told you that this simple combination, something your grandmother probably swore by, actually triggers a cascade of biological reactions in your body that scientists are just beginning to understand? Today, we're diving deep into what really happens when onions meet honey in your system. And trust me, the research might surprise you. Hey everyone! If you're someone who's curious about the real science behind traditional remedies, you're in the right place. We've all heard the old wives' tales about onion and honey being this miracle cure-all, but today we're separating fact from fiction, using actual peer-reviewed research. Because here's the thing, while your great-grandmother might not have known about quercetin or antibacterial compounds, modern science is proving that some of these traditional combinations actually have legitimate biological mechanisms behind them. Let's start with what's actually in this combination. When you mix onions with honey, you're not just getting two separate ingredients. You're creating a synergistic blend of bioactive compounds. Onions are loaded with something called quercetin. And here's where it gets interesting. A 2024 study published in the European Food Research and Technology Journal found that onion quercetin can actually prevent hypertension by protecting your blood vessel function. But here's the kicker. Quercetin on its own isn't easily absorbed by your body. This is where honey comes in as more than just a sweetener. Honey acts as what scientists call a bioavailability enhancer, helping your digestive system actually absorb these beneficial compounds. Now, let's talk about what this does to your cardiovascular system, because this is where the research gets really compelling. Meta-analysis studies have shown that quercetin from onions can reduce systolic blood pressure by an average of 3.09 millimeter of mercury and diastolic pressure by 2.86 millimeter of mercury. I know those numbers might seem small, but in cardiovascular health, these seemingly minor improvements can translate to significant long-term benefits. A 2021 study on healthy women found that onion and garlic extracts enriched with honey had a protective effect on lipid profiles, essentially helping maintain healthier cholesterol levels. Now, before we go further, let me address the elephant in the room. You've probably seen claims online about onion and honey boosting immunity by 200%. A recent fact check from medical researchers in December 2024 found no scientific evidence supporting these specific percentage claims. However, and this is important, that doesn't mean this combination doesn't support immune function. Both ingredients have documented antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. Honey, particularly Manuka honey, has well-established antibacterial effects, while onions contain organosulfur compounds that studies have shown can inhibit bacterial growth. The key here is understanding the difference between immune support and miraculous immune boosting. Your immune system is incredibly complex, and while these foods can contribute to overall health, they're not magic bullets. Here's where traditional use actually aligns with modern understanding. For centuries, people have used onion and honey combinations for cough and respiratory issues. And it turns out there's actually science backing this up. Onions contain natural expectorant properties, compounds that help thin mucus and make it easier to expel from your respiratory system. When combined with honey's throat-soothing properties, you get what researchers describe as a natural cough suppressant. A clinical review found that this combination can help reduce congestion, decrease phlegm production, and reduce both the frequency and intensity of coughing. It's not replacing your inhaler or prescription medication, but it's a legitimate supportive therapy. Now let's talk about what might be the most significant long-term benefit: antioxidant activity. When you consume onions, your body actually absorbs quercetin to levels high enough to increase your plasma's overall antioxidant capacity. What does this mean in practical terms? Antioxidants neutralize free radicals, those unstable molecules that contribute to aging and disease. Studies have shown that quercetin from dietary sources like onions can provide protection against several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and lung cancers. A comprehensive review published in recent years found that quercetin exhibits anti-cancer effects by inhibiting cancer, cell proliferation, and inducing programmed cell death in damaged cells. Again, this isn't a cure or prevention guarantee, but it's showing us how food-based compounds can support our body's natural defense mechanisms. So how do you actually use this information? First, let's be realistic about expectations. This isn't a superfood miracle. It's a beneficial addition to an overall healthy lifestyle. If you want to try this combination, here's what the research suggests works best. Use raw onions when possible, as cooking can reduce quercetin content by up to 25%. Combine with high-quality honey. Raw, unprocessed honey retains more of its beneficial compounds. You can make a simple syrup by layering sliced onions with honey and letting it sit for several hours. The onion releases its juices, creating a natural syrup that many people find more palatable than eating raw onions. But here's the thing: consistency matters more than quantity. Having small amounts regularly is likely more beneficial than occasional large doses. Now, let's talk safety. Because even natural compounds can have interactions and side effects. Onions can interact with certain blood-thinning medications, and people with GERD or acid reflux might find raw onions irritating. Honey should never be given to infants under 1 year old due to botulism risk. And if you have diabetes, remember that honey is still a sugar and will affect blood glucose levels. As always, if you're dealing with serious health conditions or taking medications, consult with your healthcare provider before adding any new remedy to your routine, even natural ones. Here's what I find fascinating about this research. It's showing us that traditional remedies weren't just placebo effects or wishful thinking. Many of these combinations, developed over generations, actually have legitimate biological mechanisms. But it's also teaching us to be more nuanced in our thinking. Onion and honey isn't a miracle cure, but it's also not just an old wives' tale. It's somewhere in between, a food-based intervention that can support health when used appropriately. The real takeaway isn't that you should start eating onion and honey every day. It's that whole foods contain complex compounds that work synergistically in ways we're still discovering. And sometimes, the simple combinations our ancestors used actually make scientific sense. What do you think? Have you tried onion and honey combinations before? Drop a comment below and let me know about your experiences. I read every single one. If this kind of science-based exploration of traditional remedies interests you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We've got episodes coming up on turmeric and black pepper, garlic and ginger, and several other combinations that have fascinating research behind them. And if you want to dive deeper into any of the studies I mentioned today, I've linked them all in the description below. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health.